All right. Yeah, we're live. Okay. Good evening, everyone. Good evening. Good evening. I'm just going to wait a few seconds for Instagram to do its thing. Okay. Oh, all right. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Hi, Mola Hairs. How are you? Hello, Rania. How are you all doing? Thank you all for setting your reminders and being here on time. It's always, honestly, I think Wednesday evenings are now one of the highlights of my week. A little nerve-wracking, but it's so worth it. Hello, Mr. Olatunji. All right. So, as you all know, I try to stick to time. So I think we're just going to go ahead and start. But before I get into the meat of it, I just want to say that if you have any questions, please use the Q&A box right there. Okay, use the Q&A box so that I can see it. Because if it might get lost in the comments. Okay, thank you. Now, this is for those that are watching live. Now, if you're watching this later, this is the perks of joining me live at 6 p.m. EST. So real quick as we start, today's topic is intimate weddings and events. Quick introduction for those who are joining for the first time or who will be watching this for the first time, or you don't know who I am. I am Adeola Damie, and I am a wedding planner. I'm the owner and lead planner with Celebration Events Management. We are a boutique planning firm based in Ontario, Canada, but we service events all over the world. All right, so hi Lumiere, hi everybody. Hey, hello, hereby Akinola. Lovely meeting you finally. So thank you for being here. Hello, Rita. Okay, thank you everyone. I'm just gonna jump in because as you know, I have my whole thing planned that we want to talk about. So today I'm gonna be doing this solo. For those who've been following me for a year and a half now, I started Education Wednesdays by myself, but lately in the last few months, we've been bringing on guests, but I've missed talking to you guys. So today it's going to be just me anchoring and talking and teaching. And I believe in 2 weeks' time, we're going to be having a special guest that I'll let you know about. We're going to be talking about some beautiful African weddings. So in 2 weeks' time. So for today, let's focus on the topic, which is intimate weddings. Okay, so I'm going to start by saying that intimate weddings might not be for everyone. Okay, an intimate wedding might not be for everyone. So irrespective of what's going on right now with the pandemic and with COVID and the legislation that's limiting the number of people that can gather, my first advice is if you can wait, please do. If you can wait to have your wedding, then do. But if you cannot wait, because there are certain people who cannot wait, either because they already ordered their license, or for religious reasons or work reasons. I had a bride who she needs to relocate with her spouse, so she needs to get married, all that stuff. So things happen. So this session is more about what really is an intimate wedding, types of intimate weddings, where can you have your intimate wedding, and of course, I hope that it'll be interactive so you can talk to me, ask me questions, and I'll try and answer them as best as possible. Okay, so I just also want to start by saying that there is bound to be some sort of expectation that you would have, right, as a bride or a groom, or a parent of a bride, that you've had about your dream wedding. So especially regarding its size, maybe you've dreamt that it's going to be grand, 400 people, 200 people. But you know what? No matter what kind of wedding you end up having, whether it's small, whether it's big, intimate, large, the most important thing is that you enjoy your wedding day as much as possible without any regrets at the end of the day. So one of the most important things that you have to figure out is really the size. If you can wait, like I said, then do. If you cannot, then you have to figure out, okay, now the government is saying, as of the time of filming this, of us having this live, the limitation as of today is still 10 people indoors in certain places in Ontario. In certain places it's 50. As of Friday, it goes up to 50 people indoors and 100 people outdoors, but that's only in some parts of Ontario. The GTA and areas within the horseshoe is still in phase 2, which limits the outdoor to just 50, while other places are 100. So if you are watching this from like BC, like my friend Hasti here from La Vista, they have a larger group that can gather. So intimate for you depends on where you are located. However, there are certain guidelines, okay? So we're going to be talking about the kinds, what really is an intimate wedding. So intimate weddings, believe it or not, I've divided into 3. So you can either have a minimony, which is mini ceremony, a micro wedding, or an elopement. So there are all types of intimate weddings, but they're also different. So we're going to be talking about those 3 briefly, and then you can decide which of this is right for you. Okay? So and just so you know, a smaller wedding actually allows you to be more flexible and more creative. Okay, so you are allowed to like change things up and personalize it the way you want. It's also more intimate. You give more face time to your guests as against 400 people, right? So there's a lot of pros to an intimate wedding, but I'm not trying to sway you either way. I just want to explain what it is. Okay, so first, and again, for those who are just joining, use the Q&A box. All right. So first, let's talk about elopements. So what is an elopement, right? So elopement has actually evolved from the traditional meaning. Right? Elopements are now more considered like a spur of the moment, something unplanned, although they're now planned. They're planned elopements, but usually it's like an unplanned event, right? That involves an element of secrecy. But today, it's all about this sweeping air of romance. People are actually taking extra steps to personalize their elopements. And the key is for you to pick a date that is meaningful, to you, to your love story. Incorporate something that's sentimental, something, even sentimental values into your vows. Your elopement is about the 2 of you, okay? And again, the location is key for an elopement. Now, elopements usually can be anywhere from 2, just the 2 of you with your witness and your officiant, to even a small group. But usually elopements are not like larger. It's like 10 or less people. And then there are pop-up weddings as well that are coming up. So some people have their elopement in a pop-up wedding. A pop-up wedding is where, so there are some planner friends of mine now that have packages where you go to a particular location and they've already set up, like they have the officiant, the decor, everything all there. And then they give you a time slot, like maybe 1 hour, 2 hours, something like that. So some people are having their elopements at these pop-up weddings, while other people are actually jetting off and going somewhere, going to Muskoka, going to Vancouver, wherever you want to go. So it's going to the mountains, just you and your lover, you just have to make sure that it is legal though. If you're having that elopement, if it's your legal wedding, in Ontario, you need 2 witnesses. So even though you're elopement with your darling, make sure that you have your witness there to sign and to witness it, okay? All right. So that's elopements. Let's talk about minimony, the second one. What is a minimony? So a minimony is kind of just like the name says. It is a mini ceremony, right? And it's usually held, with your loved ones. And it's all about the commitment that you're going to be sharing between yourselves. So the minimony is more focused on the ceremony aspect of your wedding. Okay. Now, given the uncertainty of the coronavirus pandemics, right? Couples have been opting with the option to move forward with their weddings, irrespective of what's going on. But maybe they've had like a larger plan. So they're opting now for a minimony option where they just have the ceremony in a mini format with a few friends and family. So that's a minimony. So minimony is different from an elopement in that the elopement is more like secret and you're jetting off somewhere or you're just going by yourself. While the minimony is more about the ceremony, the 2 of you, you exchange your vows, and then usually there's no reception, but there are other creative ways of having a minimony, So you can actually have your minimony with up to 10 people or more, and then just make sure that you adhere to social distancing measures, okay? Make sure you do that, please, for the health of yourself, your loved ones, and all of that, okay? Now, some couples decide that they're going to honor their original wedding dates and then later have a bigger wedding. So if you're honoring your original wedding dates, you can do it in the minimony style, which is you guys with your officiants, your friends, your family. It can be up to 25, 30, 40, 50 people. It's still an intimate wedding, but it's a Minimony in that you're not having a big reception. Now, I've also seen people stream, they stream the Minimony on Zoom or YouTube or Facebook to their loved ones that are out of the country as well. So really, you can style it any way you want. But just know that the Minimony has to involve an officiant because somebody has to join you, whether it's in person or it's virtual. It also includes a group of loved ones. It also would involve select vendors. So your larger wedding would have had multiple moving parts. Your Minimony still would have some moving parts because you still would need to have someone officiate. You need somebody to cover the photography. I advise that you have videography as well. It's up to you, but you still want to document that moment that you said I do. It would involve maybe your florist because it's nice that you still have a bouquet. And of course, why not still have a cake? Who says you can't have a Minimony with a nice, smaller version of your original cake? At the end of the day, you and your spouse will share it at the end. So Minimonies are smaller, but who says that they have to lose the essence of what your original plans are? Just make sure that if you choose to honor your original date with a Minimony, then later on you can have your bigger wedding if you have the budget for it. Have your bigger wedding, have something grander with your friends and family. It's really up to you guys, really. So we talked about elopements. We've talked about a Minimony. Now we're going to talk about a micro wedding. So remember I said intimate weddings are really, to me, divided into three: elopements, Minimonies, and micro weddings. Now, micro weddings are my favorite, but really you will decide which one works best for you. So a micro wedding, as the name suggests, it typically includes a guest list of up to, really, it's up to you. Some people have a micro wedding with 25 people. Some people have a micro wedding with 10 people. Right now, because of the government regulations, we have a package right now that's just up to 50 people, 50 guests. I've seen a micro wedding with 70 guests. I've seen a micro wedding with 80 guests, right? I know. But right now, for the purpose of the timing and the season we're in, we'll just say that a micro wedding is up to 50 guests, okay? Usually, this guest list includes your immediate family, your super close friends. Remember I said super close friends only. And even though it's smaller in a guest count, the micro wedding is very different from a Minimony. And the major difference is that, one, it's not an elopement. And two, it is a cross between the elopement and the big traditional wedding in that it is a perfect compromise to suit a wedding, because it is right there in that you have everything, all the elements of a main big wedding, just on a smaller scale. Yeah, so that's why it's called a micro wedding. So you get your ceremony. If you want, you can still get a cocktail hour. You can, you still get a reception, you get your first dance, you get speeches, like all the elements really, just with a smaller guest count. Okay? I'm laughing. I'm checking the comments. I can see somebody saying, please let them know about the videographer. Yes, videographer is important. So for a micro wedding, you still have all your vendor team there. You get your florist, you have your, a decor. You can go big with a micro wedding as well. You can make it luxurious. I saw this micro wedding online. It was so beautiful. I believe it's on the Wedlocks this week. It's beautiful. This bride, she's from Nigeria, West Africa, and she went all out. Like the flowers, the dress, she had it on the rooftop of a hotel. It was beautiful, beautiful. So micro weddings, one thing again, we're going to talk about it a little bit later with locations, but you can save money. You can save money. Believe it or not, COVID has been a bit of a blessing in disguise for brides and grooms. I know you guys don't feel it right now. I get it, especially my 2020 brides. But it's been a bit of a blessing because you can actually save money by going the route of a micro wedding. Even though, you are still having all the elements. And I'm not saying save money as in pinch, less discount your planner, discount your cake. No, what I mean is because it's now a micro wedding, smaller guest count, you actually now don't have to. Imagine if you're doing a per head of $200 per plate, for example, per person. Now you don't have to think about times 200 guests. You're thinking times 50 guests, you know? So certain services are fixed. For example, photography. It doesn't matter if the photographer is going to be there for 4 hours or be there for 8 hours. The album is still going to cost the same thing. A highlight reel, you know, a cinematographer is still going to charge you the same thing. So there are certain things that are fixed, but still there's a variation of flexibility when you're doing a micro wedding. So brides and grooms, it's not all sour grapes. A micro wedding can save you some money. However, there are couples who are actually splurging more because with it being a micro wedding now, they feel like, oh, you know what? We can actually now do more details. We can do more stuff for our guests. So if they had a budget of, let's say you had a wedding budget of $100,000, for example, now you can say, okay, instead of spending $100,000 on 400 guests, we're now going to bring 50 guests in, and we're going to spend, I don't know, you decide. But then let's say, oh, we're going to spend $30,000. So imagine the detail, you know, the level of excellence that you can now put into, you know, the wow factor you can put into just for those 50 guests. So it's not all sour grapes, to be honest. Intimate weddings can be beautiful. I'm going to take a pause because I see some comments here, and I'm going to do that. Okay. Okay, somebody said, now I know I was at a Minimony a few weeks. Yes. So a Minimony is definitely different from a micro wedding and an elopement. Okay, so we'll move on. So micro weddings, they're not, now here, one thing I also want to say is that couples who want to throw a micro wedding, they can always splurge on things like top shelf open bar, you know, a nice sit down dinner, you know, maybe if you were going to do like a 3-course meal before, you can make it 4 or 5-course meal, you know, you can have like nice goodie bags for people, all of that. And here I see here, yes, Hasty saying that I'm loving the recent intimate weddings. Yes, intimate weddings are they're more personalized. There's a different feel about it, to be honest, there is. And that they're so much more personalized and impactful. I agree. Tidal Long Legs is saying that I feel it's not so uncommon for us. Oh, okay. So yes. So I'm going to talk on that in a moment about the African weddings and how big they are and how you can scale down and things like that. Yes. Yes. And Lumiere Makeup Art is saying that I agree. They have better impact and more connection with the guest. Correct. Okay. So moving on. So to summarize, I said intimate weddings are divided into 3. Elopements are considered more secretive and spur of the moment. It could be just the 2 of you with your witnesses and your officiants. Very intimate, just a handful. See what? A handful of people at the elopement. A Minimony, however, is a mini ceremony. It's held with your loved ones. It's about the commitment. It's about saying your vows. It's about being joined, and you share with yourself and some loved ones. While a micro wedding is a full-on nuptial, a full-on wedding, but just with a smaller guest counts. Okay, so let's talk about what do you do if you have decided on an intimate wedding. If you've decided, if you know that, okay, you know what, we need to go ahead with our wedding, or you know what, let's just go ahead with 50 people, what do you do? Because the reality is that I know that having an intimate affair means that you now have to invite just those that are closest to you, right? And then some couples by nature are very private, you know, while some people are like, ooh, you know, they have a large family, they want to be, you know, center of attention, they want something big. So it might not, some people, it hasn't come so easy to decide to go with an intimate wedding. So what I'm going to say is that for couples who have many friends and colleagues, or you have a big family, and you're thinking that, oh my God, we're going to get into trouble now that we're deciding to hold an intimate wedding, because how do we sacrifice our guest list? Who do we invite? Who do we not invite? What are we going to do? You know? And then you're thinking, oh, is this intimate wedding really right for us? Do we wait? Do we not wait? Okay, so I do have a few pointers for you here, okay? I'm going to go through that, and I can see some comments here, then I'll take the comments. So first thing is, you need to have a clear talk with your parents about the guest list. Some people, maybe it's up to the 2 of you, your parents are not involved, either because they're not here, or you're the one financing the wedding, or you're, you know, mature enough that it doesn't matter what the parents think. But I'm African, so most of our weddings, you ain't getting married without parental consent. So I just had to say, because 90%, 99% of my clientele are Africans. So have a clear talk with your parents about the guest list, okay? Realize that, you know, with a small number of guests, definitely you want it to be your closest relatives, you want it to be your closest friends, but just remember that your parents are just as excited about the wedding as you are, okay? They want to let everybody know. But now that it's going to be a small, you know, intimate wedding, you have to explain to them what kind of wedding are you having first. You know, if you're eloping, they can't have everybody there. Uncle John cannot attend. If it's a micro wedding though, and you're like, okay, we're gonna have this micro wedding, then you have to deliberate with your parents about, okay, this is it. We are going to have 50 people. Out of these 50 people, there's already me, my spouse, you, daddy-in-law, mother-in-law. That's already what, 6 people. If you have siblings, add that to it, right? Your grandma, grandpa, add that to it. Before you know what's happening, I'm sure your immediate family, 20 people. So that leaves you with what? 30 people to invite. So you need to have that conversation. It's very, very important. And I know that that conversation can be very sensitive, especially if you have African parents. But just have an open mind. Try and view things from their perspective. And I think everybody now knows what's going on, right? So there'll be more understanding. It's not like a year ago, 2 years ago. Now people understand what's going on. So if great grandma cannot be invited because of her health or because of safety, I think great grandma will understand. Let me quickly take questions before I go to my second point. Okay, so yes, I have a videographer here as well, Ziggy on the lens, saying that depending on your guest count, it's important that you note that you can also live stream for your guests. That's true. So you can have a Minimony, can have a micro wedding, and live stream it to the rest of the family. Yes, heavy on the parents, that's true. Arambada Photography is saying, just with the siblings alone, we're already 50. I agree. It's not easy. Being African, this micro wedding thing is not easy. Okay. All right. So the second point I have is that you should also be open to having a second reception. So if you're going to go ahead with an intimate wedding now, go ahead and be open. So if you already have the budget, if you have the budget for it, you can consider just having that intimate wedding. Decide on which type. I've already explained the 3 types. And then later, once COVID packs his bags and goes away, by God's grace, you can have your main reception in 2021. Because we believe that by 2021, knock on wood, we would have the opportunity to have bigger weddings. Okay? So be open to having your second reception later. And that one, you can have the larger reception, invite uncle, parents, grandparents, everybody. I can't wait. I really can't wait. Guys, what do you like? Who's tired? Like who's tired and just can't wait to boogie down and have the kind of weddings that we're used to having? Right? Okay. So the next point is choosing your guests. Choosing your guests. Now, since you have a relatively small number of guests, you have to be careful when choosing who to invite and who not to invite. It is highly unlikely for your uninvited guests to question you and to start saying, oh, why are you know, it's highly unlikely. I think people are more understanding now. We've even had situations where we invite people and they actually bow out. Like they actually say, oh, they can't attend because of whatever reason. Either they don't feel safe yet, or they have young children because we say adults only. So people are understanding. So just don't beat yourself up too much, because some couples now are thinking, oh my God, how am I going to invite? I'm not invite people. Just choose wisely. It's a small number of guests, and be prepared. Be prepared for unhappy guests. Be prepared. I'm not going to say you might not have at all, but you know what? Most people are understanding. The next point I want to make is that, listen, a bigger wedding means a bigger budget. So, because let's face it, more guests comes with a larger expense. The cost of food, the cost of drinks, all of that. So, holding a smaller scale wedding is actually likely to be less expensive than having, you know, a grand ballroom wedding. So, if your budget plays a big part. So, just think about it. At the same time, though, having a small size wedding, like I said, can still be luxurious. It can still be luxurious, can still be beautiful, and it can still be costly. So it really depends on you. If you want to save money, go with an intimate wedding. There are ways to save money. If you still want to splurge and have your luxury wedding, you can. But just know that whatever choice you make sure that every key player that's a part of that wedding is okay with it. So if, for example, your parents are sponsoring the wedding, or the groom's family is solely sponsoring the wedding, you have to make sure that whatever they want is also, consider it. That's all I'm trying to say. Consider it. Okay. Work with the budget. Rule out things that you don't need. If you were planning to have this 10-man band, you don't need that now for an intimate wedding. Okay. Especially with the current regulations. So you can always have a 3-piece quartet instead, right? Or half-piece. Like there's so many ways to be flexible. All right. So I'm going to go through the comments, and then I'm going to go to my next point that I want to talk about. I want to talk about types of intimate wedding locations. And this one's going to be fun. So let's go. Oh, so people are saying, oh, all right. I'm going to take that question. I have that question. Somebody asked earlier. So I'm going to take that question about how to have a conversation with your parents about the guest list without affecting their emotions. We're going to talk about that. Yes, Lodi, that's like, I'm tired. I'm tired. Yes, Tim's Delight is like, I miss the Owambe parties. Owambe is like, the parties, the Nigerian parties. Yep. Okay. You have a question here. Weddings with Nia. How do you deal with a venue that would not return 50% of the full payment? Okay, we're going to talk about that. Let me talk about it now, actually. So, since I'm going to be talking about venues. So, Weddings with Nia has a question. She said, how do you deal with a venue that would not return 50% of your deposits if the guest count has dropped by half? So, to be honest with you, the very first thing is to read the terms of the contract. You have to figure out, what does your contract say? If your contract is if their contract is ironclad, because most venues allow you to make changes with a stipulated time, right? They will say, okay, by if there's the final head count is required by so time. So let's assume that because of COVID and everything, you've passed the time. Now things are going to be smaller. Right now, the important thing to do is to dialogue with the venue. Because the truth is, depending on the contract and the agreement, they are really not obligated to return half of the money. They really are not. But you can dialogue with them and find a way to balance out with them. Okay, so she's giving an update saying the client paid in full. It's not a deposit. Okay, so the client has paid in full for, let's say, 200 guests. And now they can only host 100 guests. So it's about dialoguing with them and seeing how they can give you something back. If you're only going to have half the guest count and you've paid for 200 people, it could also mean that they could give you a credit towards something else. It's possible. They could say, okay, we'll give you a credit towards a second ceremony. So if you do multi-day weddings like we do in my culture, it's possible that I can put maybe that towards something else, or maybe towards another sibling. So there's no hard and fast rule about these things. Everybody's playing it by ear, but it's really sad. I mean, I can imagine what the brides are going through. If you've paid in full, now you have to scale back. Money has gone down the drain. A lot of vendors are not refunding, but they are crediting you towards another event of same or similar type. Okay, so hopefully that works. Okay, Zephyr is asking what the minimum spend is and get a refund. Yes, so she's adding to, thank you. Zephyr is also a planner. So she's saying, ask what the minimum spend is and get a refund for any excess of that. Yes. So really it's about dialogue. Figure out what the contract says. What can you get back? Can you get a credit towards something else? All of that. Okay. Hope that helped you. All right. So let's go into talking about intimate wedding locations. So this one's going to be interactive. I prepared for you guys. I'm going to be showing you types of, locations that you can have your intimate wedding, because people are on the fence. They're like, I don't know if I should have this intimate wedding. So this is actually a mansion type. So you can have it in a private home or in a mansion. This is actually so all the pictures I'll show you are real venues. This is in Brampton. This is the Elderly in Brampton. So you can have this intimate wedding, whether it's the Minimony or a Microwedding or whatever, at a place that is not as, that is beautiful. So this is a mansion type private home that you can host it. Now, this is a cruise. So you can have this micro wedding in a private cruise or water vessel. So you can get married on a lake, get married on Lake Ontario, get married, wherever you are. Find out about those private cruises. This is set up for a wedding. I don't know how many people it's set up for, but you can still have your social distancing, group families. There are rules that you have to apply to. Have your people that are in common groups on one table, all of that. So this is a cruise. You can have your private intimate wedding on a farm. Have it on a farm. Have it outdoors, Beautiful, beautiful, beautiful options. I'm going to show you another outdoors location there. So this is an old picture. It does not support social distancing, obviously, but this is another outdoor option. You can have your private wedding, your intimate wedding outdoors. This is outdoors of a mansion. Now, they can be tented. You can have an intimate wedding in a tented location or untented. There's a lot. So contact your planner, contact a good planner to help you. There's so many things you can do. Okay, so many. So this is another outdoor wedding. Also, this is in a vineyard. This is in Niagara Falls. Sorry, Niagara on the Lake. You can have, this is a hotel. This is, I don't want to give you the wrong one. It's either Marriott or Sheraton. This is a hotel with a view. So it's a ballroom, but in a hotel. Now, personally, I tend to, especially with COVID, I tend to vote more for booking your wedding at an establishment like a hotel over, I'm sorry for the venue owners watching this, but you have to know that this venue that you're booking it has credibility. Because my fear is booking a wedding, because we've been hearing horror stories, especially in the US. Thankfully, Canada has more laws, and Canada has been helpful. The economy, the government has been helping, business owners, so they're able to weather the storm better than some places in the US. But there have been venues in the US that have actually been going bankrupt, and they're not able to sustain themselves. So the reason I go with hotels is because hotels are established. They can't just, they can't just up and say, oh, we're closing our doors. But if somebody owns their property, they own the land, they own the building, it's likely that they will stay in business longer than someone who rents and is just in there and out, right? So be careful about that as well. I digress, but be careful. So this is more of a unique space. It's an indoor event. It's like a rustic, rustic barnish kind of space. This is actually also an indoor. So this is a Minimony set up, and it's set up, believe it or not, in a mansion. So you can actually have your intimate wedding. Again, like I said, there's some private homes. There are private homes. There's private spaces that you can host it. And, with a good vendor team, we'll make that space come to life, with decor and all the, yeah. So, I'm going to show you something else. So this is actually a private room in a restaurant. It's a private space in a restaurant. It's a steakhouse. So you can do that as well. You can have your intimate ceremony at a restaurant or somewhere that has like a private space. So this setup does not adhere to social distancing. So these pictures are just, to give you an idea. But trust me, with a good planner and vendor team, we definitely would help you to make sure that you adhere to the government regulations. But this is just for you to... Now, this I love. This is actually a restaurant. It's a restaurant with a bar. So they would rent out the whole space to you. Okay, so you can have your ceremony there. They'll, the food is just very different. I like the colors and all that. So I wanted to share that with you. And you can also have it in a private home. Yes, you can have your ceremony at home. Living room style, all of that. Okay. And of course, one of my favorites, a rooftop. You can have a rooftop ceremony. You can have a rooftop wedding, something outdoorsy, something, because they're saying now that you can have 50%, basically 100% more people if you're outdoors. So you can have a rooftop ceremony. You can have an outdoor ceremony, a farm ceremony, all of that. If your guest count is bigger than 50. And that's if you're outside of the horseshoe area in Ontario. And of course, like I said, you can have it in a mansion. So I'm going to quickly check questions before I move on. because I saw a few come in. All right. Okay. All right. So someone said the hotel lobbies are great for photo and video. Yes. Yes. So my Kid Studios is asking, would you recommend outdoors over indoors in these times? Honestly, it depends. It depends. I personally would have to, when I have my brief or my meeting with my clients, if it's an African client that has a larger guest count, then I would tend to advise the outdoors, just because now I'm north of the city, right? Where I am, I'm in Bradford, Simcoe, Ontario. So we can still have larger guest counts compared to those of you in Toronto. So by Friday, we can host 100 people outdoors. So I can have 100 people in a barn. I can have, but weather, you have to think about weather. You have to think about the time of the year. If it's going to be a winter wedding, then of course I'll go with indoors, right? So there are many factors that you have to consider in deciding if it's going to be indoors or outdoors. Okay, next question. Oh yeah. Outdoors are great, but pray for an overcast day. Yes, best for photos and videos. Exactly. I think I just said it. So weather is a factor. Yep. And Nia said weather. Yep, that's it. Okay, there's a question in the Q&A box. I will attend to that real quick. All right. How do you talk to your parents about the guest list without touching on their emotions? So let's talk about that real quick. I just want to change this so that... Okay. All right. So talking to your parents. I did have some questions came in earlier, so it's really down here. Okay, so when talking to your parents, there's a few things that you have to do. First and foremost, you have to figure out who's important to make this cut, to make this 50 people. So basically, who are the people that we can cut off the list, really? So there are some family members that you haven't spoken to in years. There's some family members that, you are not obligated to invite, because even though you have the same last name, you really haven't seen them in 10 years. So there, right? And also you have to understand that I know weddings, like with African weddings, is like a family reunion, but really the times and date that we are right now, your wedding is not a family reunion. It's not. So you have to be conscious about that. Be conscious about that. Think about who really do I want beside me as I say my vows. Who are the people that are, who is that uncle or that auntie? Just be conscious about things like that. Now, friends that you haven't heard from in years, there are some people that you haven't. Don't feel like because don't feel like because, this person invited me to their wedding, now I have to invite them to their wedding. You attended their wedding 5 years ago. You really don't have to attend their wedding this now. Your mom is going to say, I was at so-and-so's daughter's wedding. I have to invite them. No, mommy, you attended our wedding 8 years ago. Doesn't mean they have to attend mine. I don't know them. They don't know me. They haven't seen me in a decade. So those are the people that you can cut off your list, okay? Work friends. Some people feel obligated that, because myself and Susie, we share a cubicle. Or because myself and Mark, we go for lunch together. You really don't have to. Don't feel obligated to include everybody from work. You don't have to. Listen, there are ways you can go about that. You can always have a work happy hour. I don't know about your places of work, but I remember when I was in corporate world, we would have mini lunches for people who are having a milestone, like having a baby or getting married. So you can have a happy hour at work to celebrate with them. And you can even sponsor it if you want. You can say, okay, I'm getting married in a month's time, but because of everything happening, so let's have a mini happy hour. Let's do something. Let's have a mini... Don't do buffet, but order pizza or something for everybody, or mini box lunches or something. You don't have to invite everybody from work. Same goes for your parents. They don't have to invite everybody from their work. Your neighbors. Don't feel like you have to invite all the neighbors. Listen, because somebody lives next to you doesn't mean that you have to invite them to your wedding. Honestly, the fact that they live next to you doesn't mean that you have to invite them to your wedding. Because listen, anyway, you get it. You get it. Yes, you might feel like, they heard I'm getting married and we take walks, or we say hello to them, they cut our lawn for us, or they shovel our snow for us. You don't have to invite them. You only have 50. Okay. All right. And then very key, I need to mention kids. You don't be, this is the time to honestly put your foot down. I know that it's a touchy subject, especially in the African Canadian weddings, to say, oh my God, you're not my kids. I can't bring my kids. I only have, I can't accommodate the kids. I just have to be wise and be, in the way that you communicate with them. But really, kids or family, kids or friends, there are some kids that maybe you must have. Like, let's say they are your niece, your nephew, like they are immediate family that you helped bring up, or they're all, or you live together. I get that part. That's fine. I'm not saying don't invite any kids at all, but you don't necessarily have to feel obligated to invite all kids to your intimate wedding. Okay? We won't talk about kids today. I think I'll do a whole education about kids. Now, plus ones. I know some people are like, oh, my best friend is engaged. Do I have to invite her plus one? Oh, my dad's business partner's wives. Honestly, the plus ones, you only have limited numbers. So I can't tell you what to do, but the plus one is not by force that you have to invite your BFF's boyfriend, really. And especially if they live across the country or she really wants him there. No, you don't have to. Now, friends of your parents and friends of your in-laws that you have never met before in your life or heard of before. There are certain ones like, big mommy. In our culture, it's a big mommy, big auntie, big daddy, that you have to invite. But you see those auntie that supplies mommy her lace that you've never seen or heard of. You don't have to invite them. So, but again, you have to just use your discretion, because if your father-in-law has a business partner that you've never met before, I mean business partner, like they're in business together, they work together, he probably will give you a fat envelope, so just try and be ready to make exceptions when needed, okay? There are certain people that you've never met before, but you still need to invite. I can see the comments. Somebody's like, X. No. Anyway, okay. So I'm going to take some questions and then we'll go on. Okay, yeah, people are agreeing with the kids idea. Yeah, spouses or partners of close friends. I think I talked about that. You're not obligated. But spouses, if it's a very close friend, a close family member, a spouse that is now a close family member, yeah, you might need to invite that person. But somebody that you've never met before, a boyfriend, not necessarily. I wouldn't, but that's up to you. Okay, while we're talking about guest list, I'm going to give you a key, I'm going to advise you to do something. This is what I tell all my brides, and they know that. So, when you're putting together your guest list, especially for these intimate weddings, you need to have an A list and a B list. Yes, your A list is going to be people who absolutely 100% you would love them to be at the wedding. Actually, you love everybody to be at the wedding, right? But you need them there. These are parents, siblings, uncle, auntie, nieces, nephews, like people that make that core immediate family and core friends, or maybe your wedding party. That's your A list, okay? And then maybe, whatever, one or two people that definitely, maybe you grew up together, all of that. Then, so your A list, now remember we're talking about, let's say 50 people wedding, right? Your A list might be, 40 people. Then you have a B list. Your B list, you put it in order of priority. So you send out the invitations for your A list first, because who knows, maybe in that A list there's some people that RSVP no, because for whatever reason, maybe they want to attend with their boyfriend, and now you said he can't come, so she's not coming. That's fine. So you open the slots and then you invite people in the B list. So that way you you don't feel so pressured. Now you have to do it smartly though, because if you have people that are in the same circles, so for example, if you have siblings, you have a friend that's a brother and a sister, and then the brother is in your A list and the sister is in your B list. You'll get that phone call. So just be smart about it. You might want to put the brother and sister together on the B list or together on the A list. So there's so many ways to go about it. Okay. All right. Do you have any questions for me, or should I keep going? Somebody's like, yes, invite the uncle with the fat envelope. Yep. All right. Okay. So Doopsy's asking, how do you include your spiritual affiliates? Hey, that question, let me break it down. So she's saying, how do you include people like your pastors, your prayer partners, all of that? Well, hopefully your main pastor is also your officiant, someone who's going to join you. So he'll be invited because he's an officiant. But honestly, like I said earlier on, you shouldn't feel obligated, because I don't know, But if you're like me that attends, so I'm Christian, I attend a church that we are, I don't know, over 500 people. I cannot, if I was to get married tomorrow, I'm married. But if I was to get remarried or have a wedding, I cannot invite all the spiritual fathers in my church. I cannot. There's like 30 of them. That's like over half of your guest list. So please, let the spiritual affiliates pray for you. Let them bless the marriage. You go to them 2 weeks before, a week before. They should pray for you. And you can give them a goodie bag. You can even say, oh, thank you, sir. Thank you, ma. Give them a thing, you know, something. And say, yes, you can even send them your wedding. That's another question I need to that. I need to get to that. But you can send them your gift registry. They can bless you too. They should bless you spiritually and bless you financially, you know. And at the end of the wedding, you go back for Thanksgiving blessing too. So please, don't be pressured. You don't have to invite all the spiritual affiliates. Yes. All right. Okay. That's it for the questions. So I'm gonna really go real quick here. I'm not gonna look at those comments anymore. You guys are making me laugh. I'm not gonna do that anymore. Okay, so I actually reviewed from some real brides. There are some real, gosh, stop laughing. I reviewed from some real brides their feedback on their wedding. So basically, now these are not all celebration brides, but this is real brides feedback. So the pros for having an intimate wedding. One bride said, I was able to spend so much time with the people closest to us. Another person said, we were able to have give better quality experience to the people that we truly care about. Another bride said, we were able to afford better food and bar menu for our guests of 50. So this is for those of you that are still on the fence, trying to think, should we do an intimate wedding or not? Go ahead with it, because there's a lot of pros for doing that. Another bride said, people had so much fun and our dance floor was not too tight or too cramped up. And we were able to manage speaking to and going round our guests. My husband and I could stop and talk to everyone who came. Yep, that's good. Now, just be conscious of the fact that when you're having your intimate wedding, even though it's smaller, please, for my brides, still no hugging, no kisses. You can do hair kisses. You can do the COVID bumps, all that, the leg handshakes. Just be careful, okay? We're still watching to see what the government will say about the regulation about wearing masks inside of the wedding. But I know that when you go to public places now, as of Friday, you're required to wear a mask. So if you're in a wedding, what we're doing with our brides and our grooms is that we're going to be providing, masks. And we're going to be asking people that, while you're seated, while you're having dinner, all of that, you don't need to wear it. But once you're getting up, like to dance or to mingle and all that, we'll ask that you please, just to protect yourself and protect others. So do you, but that's another thing I want to say about the handshakes and the talking and the hugging. Okay. Another bride said, we didn't have to stress too much about DIY because we didn't have to make 300 things. We just had 40 people at our wedding and we could limit our spending and we came way under budget. And last but not least, I have more here, but because of time, another bride said, the people in attendance were only our closest and dearest friends, which created a very intimate and emotional atmosphere during the ceremony. And during the reception, we had the opportunity to have a real conversation with everyone rather than a quick hello, hi, thanks for coming. And finally, this bride said, we were able to have our wedding at a beautiful venue. We had delicious food and it did not cost a fortune to have beautiful decoration, glam atmosphere, because we didn't need as many centerpieces and the room wasn't as huge to be covered. So those are pros for having your intimate wedding. Do I have any questions before I touch on my next thing, and then we can call it a day for today? So while I wait for that, quickly, just quick things. We've talked about types of intimate weddings. I just want to say to you all, for those that are watching this now or later, that six quick ways to stick to a small guest list, because I know that even if you come from a big family, so this is dedicated to my African friends and clients. 6 ways to stick to a small guest list, okay? Because everybody has an idea. So how to decide who's going to get an invite, who's going to get crossed off the list, how do we not upset somebody, how do we not upset grandma, all of that, you know? So 1, have an A and B list. Only invite the A-listers for now, okay? Now listen, if somebody is not on your Christmas card list, where you know that this person gets your family pictures every year, that person really shouldn't be on your A-list. Okay. If you only see somebody on Facebook, your only Facebook friends, that person is not on your A-list. Okay. 2, throw expectations out of the window. So I know it sounds harsh, but really, you're not obligated to invite everyone. I've said that before. So your college roommates is not necessary, is not obligated. You're not obligated to invite that person. Okay. Your second cousin that invited to your wedding, you're not obligated. Okay. Point number 3, set your boundaries very early. Because you're having an intimate wedding now, you need to set your boundaries. You need to have your conversation with your parents in-law, your future in-laws, everybody, every key player who is going to be contributing to the wedding. Set the boundaries early. Now, I'm going to give you an idea. If you're not sure of how to communicate with your parents, now this will answer the question somebody had. I put a note here to say that you can say something like, you know, whether it's your parents, your step-parents, in-laws, whatever, whoever it may be, you can say, you know, dad and mom, I'm going to give you 10. You know, you get 10 invitation slots. And remember that we only have 50 guests. So this is a number that we need you to please stick to. And I don't want you to feel added pressure of inviting people that you're not close to. So dad or mom, please think about the 10 people you really want at this wedding. That's it. Just have the conversation, drop the mic, and moonwalk away. Okay. Another 4, if you cannot do it, like you're going to offend so many people, then consider having a destination wedding. I know that with pandemic and all that, you can have a local destination wedding. You can jet off to Vancouver, jet off to Muskoka, jet off to Niagara, still under the limited, you know, but there are places that right now you can host 100 people. So have a destination wedding, because trust me, that's the foolproof way to keep your guest list down. Not everybody is going to be able to just jet off and follow you to your wedding. Not everybody is going to be able to afford it. So that's a good way to do it. 5, limit children and +1s. I talked about that before, so I won't overflog the issue. And number 6, just expect that feelings will get hurt. It is normal. So what do you do if you hear that somebody felt snubbed or somebody felt like, oh, you didn't invite me to my wedding? Again, you pick up the phone, you call, and you say, dear Uncle Joe, I heard through Auntie so-and-so that you're unhappy because you didn't get invited. I just want to let you know that it was a really tough decision and we really just needed to keep our numbers low because of everything that's happening. I'm so sorry. Please don't take it personally. We love you. And hopefully you have a virtual wedding planned as well. So we're going to be sending you the link to the Zoom wedding or the whatever wedding, the YouTube wedding. We're going to be sending you a link. We hope that you can join us. And please, we'll love to have you join us virtually. That's it. Okay? So Q&A time. Q&A time. If anybody has any questions, please put it in there. Okay? I'm going to take some of the questions that came in. So a question that came in earlier said, if somebody sends me a gift, do I have to invite them to the intimate wedding? So if somebody has already sent you a gift before, the answer to that is just send a gracious thank you note to them, but still don't feel pressure to add them to that perfectly curated intimate guest list. Don't feel pressured at all. Okay? All right. The next question is, how do you decide people to cross off the list? I've talked about that before, so go back and watch this video. Okay, the answer is there. All right. So I'm going to thank you. Thank you for your kind words. Yeah, somebody's saying great job. I love your energy. Thank you so much. So I'm just going to wrap up by saying that I have a number of planner friends. So we're based in Ontario. I have planner friends who have come up with different packages. Okay, we've talked about the elopement, talked about the micro wedding, talked about the Minimony. Some people have elopement packages. Some people have pop-up weddings where you can just go and get married. You know, at Celebration Events Management, we also have an intimate locks collection that we've curated together for you. And basically, it's a done-for-you package where you have everything from your flower, your makeup, your officiant, your photography, videography, cake, like name it. Everything you need is done for you. The vendor team is superb, an A-list team. So all you have, and you have the option to also upgrade and add food and beverage. The only thing that the package doesn't come with is a venue, and that's because, like I showed you the pictures, there's a gazillion options. We curate it based on you, your guest count, what kind of food do you want, what kind of venue do you want. So we can still help you find your venue, or if you've already paid for a venue and you haven't done anything else, we can just pack up and bring everything to that venue for you. So contact me if you want more information about the Intimate Locks collection. It is great for weddings, for birthdays, whatever, really. Right now it's curated for 50 guests, but you have the option to go up. So if it's going to be an outdoor wedding where you want 80 guests, for example, yes, we can customize that for you. So I look forward to hearing from you. I look forward to making your wedding dreams come true. If you have any questions at all, be it about intimate weddings, larger weddings, upside down weddings, topsy-turvy weddings, contact me, Adeola, at celebrationevents.ca. My team and I are here waiting to make your dreams come true. Thank you to everyone who joined this live. Thank you to everyone who's going to watch this later. I'm Damie Adeola, the owner and lead planner of Celebration Events Management, and I look forward to seeing you again next week, Wednesday, at 6 p.m. EST, right here. Take care and have a wonderful day, everybody. Bye.